Apple's recent event about the iPhone 7 may have been a bit of a disappointment, but does that mean you shouldn't buy one? We're going to be talking about that and more, but first, coffee. Okay, well, first things first, you may be wondering why I'm holding an iPhone 5, and that's because I have been using this for 4 years. That doesn't mean I didn't upgrade. I did move on to an Android phone. I wanted a phone that could do a bit more than my iPhone, and I also liked the idea that a Galaxy Note had a pen. But after 2 years of using this phone and having this as my backup, I've discovered that I don't really use the pen enough to justify having such a large phone. This is a phone with a 5.5-inch screen. It's a Galaxy Note Edge. Huge, very convenient, but kind of difficult to use on the train with one hand. Today's coffee is this Royal Crystal blend. Unfortunately, I don't have any posh coffees today, so I'm going to be making today's coffee with this. But what we want to talk about today is iPhone 7 and Apple Watch Series 2 and AirPods. These are the three most large announcements, I would say, at the Apple event, in addition to also the fact that Nintendo will be making a new Mario game, which is essentially just Mario, but you don't get to choose when you move left and right, you just always move to the right. I don't know if that's going to be successful, but having a Nintendo on Apple products is the start of something big, because if we get more Nintendo products on Apple devices, imagine if we got things like Splatoon, and imagine if we got things like Smash Brothers, or maybe even just app versions of those games. That would be cool. First, let's talk about the iPhone 7. I am excited about the iPhone 7, and a lot of people are not. First of all, they've removed the headphone jack. This port here at the bottom, which used to mean that you could plug any set of headphones into an iPhone, means you won't be able to do that now unless you use an adapter. And of course, I think the reason people are annoyed about that is that, one, adapters are easy to lose and a bit of a bother to have connected to your phone, and secondly, if you use the adapter, then you won't be able to use the lightning port to charge your phone. I think you'll have to have one of those dock connectors where there's a headphone jack at the back. Apple is describing the move as one of courage. They're saying that it took tremendous courage to understand that the headphone jack on the bottom of here is over 100 years old, and that really it's a slightly inferior technology, and I think they're kind of right. It does make sense to have a digital connection from here to the headphones through the lightning cable and have the amplifier actually built into the headphones. It's getting confusing because I'm saying headphones and phones at the same time. Get some of this coffee in here before I get too distracted. Got a lot of things to talk about, and I forgot with these coffee videos, I try to speak a little more slowly, but as you can see, I'm clearly off on a race right now talking about. It's because there's so many things that I want to talk about right now. But iPhone 7, the main thing that I think people were just worried about is the fact that they've lost this headphone jack. If you can get over that and just use an adapter for a while and then just move on to having a pair of wireless headphones in the future, it's really not going to affect my life personally that much, actually, because once I get a pair of good lightning headphones, I'll be set. It'll just be inconvenient when I'm switching between other devices. It's like, oh well, I've got my wireless earphones, and because they're wireless, I've got to pair them, and pairing with another Apple device will be easy, but pairing them with other devices, switching your wireless headphones to other devices can be a bit of a bother. And in addition, if you've got these lightning headphones, so you're using a wired set of EarPods with the lightning connection, once you pull that out, you won't be able to plug it into a device that does not have a lightning port. And it's not something that you can just license. I don't think that you can put a lightning port on an Android device. If you make an Android device, you can't just say, hey, let's put a lightning port so everyone with lightning headphones can plug straight in. I don't even think that's possible. Where is the thing that... Here it is, sorry, I was looking for it. I'll actually show you. Whenever I look to my left and I'm searching... Whoa! Whenever I look over to my left and I'm searching for stuff, it's because I put all of my coffee ingredients and things into this plastic. Let's grind! So iPhone 7. The design of the phone didn't change that much, and I think that bothered a lot of people, because usually with iPhone 4S to 5, the design changed almost completely. And then from the change to the iPhone 5S to the 6, the shape changed again. Not only did the shape change, but the size completely changed, and we introduced the idea of the large phone and the small phone idea. From 6S to iPhone 7, it's like, oh, shape didn't actually change at all, apart from the camera bump, and that I think bothers people because it's kind of exciting to wait a couple of years for the 6 or the 7 or the number change because you actually get a different design of phone. This time it's exactly the same shape. And why is that? Well, I have a theory. I feel like the reason it feels like it's taken a step back is because it is in preparation for next year's phone. It seems like they didn't need to take the earphone jack out of here because, come on, how much space did that really free up? When they do something weird like take something out, it's because they're getting prepared for the next product. So in this current generation, removing the earphone port seems pointless. You took the earphone port out, but it didn't actually help anyone on the consumer side. It just makes things better for Apple, and there's articles online about how Apple is going to benefit from wireless headphone sales because they own Beats. But we will probably benefit massively next year when iPhone 7s or iPhone 8 or iPhone 10th anniversary, whatever it is they're going to call it, it's probably going to be a very dramatic change in shape because they managed to get rid of the earphone port on the iPhone 7. By upgrading this year, you don't actually get the feeling of a new phone and a new design. All you feel is like features were removed. Apple does this so that the next generation can benefit. I'm not gonna say that the iPhone 7 is bad or not worth it because really we don't know. By the way, I'm going to put the filter on my coffee jar now. It's just that it's more of a transition device. They are transitioning to iPhone 8 and they have to get all these technologies ready for it. There is a rumor that Apple has always been trying to build a brand new iPhone that is completely buttonless, completely waterproof, completely screen to screen. It'll be like holding just a sheet of glass. They've removed the actual physical button. This is now a force touch button, so it's not a real button. You just push pressure here and you will feel the sensation of a click. But I feel like that is probably just preparation for iPhone 8. So I got the coffee now, I'm just going to pour it in the middle and move outwards to the edges. Unfortunately, this coffee is a few weeks old, so it's not going to bubble up quite as nicely as the other coffees have been recently, but that's all that I can do about it. I mean, the iPhone 7 is what we really want to talk about. And if you own an iPhone 6s, there really isn't very much reason to upgrade because the shape hasn't changed, so in a way you won't feel like you've got a better phone. You don't really need to lose the earphone jack until next year, in my opinion. I feel like that is preparation for the iPhone 8. If you really want a nicer camera, you will be able to get better selfies on the iPhone 7 because it has a 7 megapixel shooter on the front and it has a really nice camera on the back. But in terms of video, it still does exactly the same thing as last year, which is 4K at 30 FPS and 240 frames per second slow motion. All really great stuff. There is one killer feature though on the iPhone 7 which you probably want to know about, which is optical image stabilization. Now, a lot of makers have digital image stabilization and it's kind of okay, but it doesn't work that well. But whenever they put optical image stabilization on a phone, it is incredible and it works really, really well. So I'm really excited to try optical image stabilization because if you are a vlogger or you take videos of just family and friends, the iPhone 6s didn't have optical image stabilization unless you bought the iPhone 6 Plus, I think, or the iPhone 6s Plus, so you had to buy the larger phone. As I understand it, on the iPhone 7 you will have an optical image stabilizer, so your videos will be much less shaky, especially if you're walking and talking and vlogging and talking to yourself on your phone. So that is one really nice feature, and probably for me, the killer feature. At first I thought having the digital home button was going to be the best thing about the iPhone 7, but actually optical image stabilization, I think that's what I'm most excited about. Okay, let's get this filter off and pour the coffee into my Yanaka cup, which I love because it makes all my coffee taste better. I really need coffee, especially when I'm talking so much. Really need a drink. Oh, it's still really hot. There is one more killer feature which I haven't even mentioned for the iPhone 7, and that's the new collaboration with Sony and Japan. You will be able to use the iPhone 7 or the Apple Watch Series 2, and that can be paired with any phone from 5 and up. And you'll be able to use it as your bus pass in Japan. So you can actually scan it on the train thing, you can use your phone, iPhone 7, or the Apple Watch Series 2, which is, this is obviously a Pebble. You can scan it on the machine and use it to not only get on the train, but also buy things at convenience stores, buy things at electronic stores, buy things at pharmacies. There are a lot of places where this bus pass is accepted as payment, and that is Japan's way of accepting digital payments without going through banks. Now, I think the reason they do that is because the banking system in Japan is so old and decrepit, it's not even worth talking about because I'll probably start to get a little bit angry. Apple Pay didn't exist in Japan before, and it's going to start existing in Japan from October. The reason this is important is that I've got to buy the device in Japan for that to work, and I have one slight issue with that, and that's the fact that with the Olympics coming up, I thought the whole point of having Felica technology in the phone was that, you know, in a few years' time when Olympics happens in Japan, I mean, it's 4 years from now, I was thinking that they would be able to use their iPhone 7 to scan as a bus pass, but I think it's only phones bought in Japan. But of course the Olympics is like 4 years away, so hopefully in 4 years' time they will hopefully have introduced a technology into Western phones, which means that you can bring your iPhone to Japan and use it as a bus pass, but currently I don't think that's going to be a feature. Which provides me an interesting segue to Apple Watch Series 2. Now, Apple Watch Series 2 isn't a great deal different to the previous Apple Watch, but interestingly enough, you can't buy Apple Watch anymore. You can't buy the original one. They've replaced it with Apple Watch Series 1, which is the same as the previous watch with a better processor built in, and at that same low price of, I think, $270 or $280, something around there. And with the new one coming in at $370, which, if I'm not mistaken, is kind of the average price or the original selling price for the Apple Watch. Now it has GPS, which is going to be so much better. We're going to have all sorts of apps like Pokemon Go and things that could probably tap into the GPS when you don't have your phone. I don't know if Pokemon Go will work without your phone, but you know what I mean. Apps that can work without your phone, they are massively going to benefit from having GPS built into Apple Watch 2. They're saying that this year Apple Watch 2 is going to be more waterproof than before, but I'm pretty sure it was very waterproof before. Unless you're jumping inside a washing machine and going for a swim in a washing machine, I think your Apple Watch 1 is probably still fine. The other thing, of course, is that it will have Felica built in, so I'll be able to use it as my bus pass, even if I pair it with an iPhone 5. Like a device as old as the iPhone 5, I can still set this up with Suica and use the Apple Watch 2, so I don't even have to buy an iPhone 7 to pair with my Apple Watch 2, which this is not. Waterproof, GPS, faster processor, it's now 2 times better graphics performance. Whatever it is, it looks really, really great, but again, like the 6S to the 7 and Apple Watch to Apple Watch 2, there are not enough differences to really warrant an update yet. You may feel like along the line it might be worth you upgrading if you decide you suddenly need GPS or that you suddenly need optical image stabilization, but if you don't need these very specific features, I don't really think you need to upgrade either device. There was a third product which was released, which is the Apple AirPods, and I think they won't actually be released until October, but they are $160. And this is what's really difficult for, I think, people to get their head around, is the fact that these AirPods, in addition to probably getting lost quite easily, I can't imagine that they have a better sound quality than your normal AirPods. So you're talking about a device which is $30 and a device which is $160, producing the exact same sound quality, but one is wireless, and so that's quite convenient. And I don't know if that is worth the $140, $130, $140 premium just for the wirelessness of it. The thing is, if you have an iPhone 7, it's going to be like a necessity because you don't want to be using that lightning port for headphones all the time because, again, once you sit down at your desk, you put your phone down to charge, suddenly you can't use your headphones anymore. Personally, I actually quite like the idea of AirPods. I don't like the price. I do think that they are really expensive, but I quite like the idea of AirPods. I like that they sit in that little case without the cable, because something that really bugs me is having to retie it. Where's mine? I really hate that I have to undo this tangly mess. I mean, there are cable ties, but then that's one more device to have to hold, and then where do you put it when you're actually using the AirPods? Then you just have to, you know, have it dangling from the cable, whatever it is. I don't really need this cable, though, and someone did quite well put out on Twitter, if you don't have the cable, how do you tell people to not bother you? Because actually that is what's really useful about having this cable. It's really obvious that I'm listening to music and I don't want you to bother me. That is so true. I actually like to have a very visible cable so that people know that I'm busy listening to music. There was one time I was on a flight, there was someone who really wanted to chat. I was like a speech receptacle. I was just there to have words put into me, and I got kind of tired of that, and I thought I'll put on my headphones, and I had a big pair of headphones that you get from the airplane. I put them on, and suddenly that person kept talking. So the moral of this story is, sometimes even if you put headphones on, people don't shut up. You just can't get away from some people. I like the idea of AirPods because now they won't get tangled up. I think that they're quite cool, and definitely a vision of what we can expect in the future from Apple. Oh, it's getting brighter again. What is up with the sun today? It gives us a good idea of what is to expect from the future, and that is really what I think we should conclude this whole video today with, is the fact that this is all preparation for next year's Apple event. 6S was kind of okay, people didn't really get into Force Touch and 3D Touch, but it is still a phenomenal phone. 7, even less impressive because there wasn't really an incredible new feature, it just felt like stuff had been taken away from us. The home button, I think they're not very proud of it because otherwise they would have showcased it more, but they didn't really. You took away the earphone jack, they gave us AirPods which are really expensive. Now we have to have EarPods which have to plug into the lightning port. All sorts of things that seem a little bit inconvenient, but these are technologies which are seriously going to take us into the future, and I'm quite excited for next year, because otherwise why do things like taking away this tiny bit of space unless it was going to help you design a new kind of phone? And I think we are really waiting for that iPhone. If you're excited about iPhone 7, do let me know. If you're not excited about iPhone 7 and Apple Watch Series 2 and AirPods, just put it in the comments. I would love to hear what you guys have to say, because I'm at the same time as being really, really excited, I'm also insanely disappointed, but that disappointment I think is going to fuel into enthusiasm for what's going to come next year. If you do really care to know, I have already pre-ordered the Apple Watch 2, so I will be unboxing that in a future video. I have also pre-ordered an iPhone 7, so when that comes in the mail, I will be unboxing that as well. I didn't go for black, and I'll tell you why. I had an iPhone 5 in black, and although it seems cool to have a black phone, almost everything I look at on the screen is white. I've really, really enjoyed having the white surround bezel around web pages. It just makes the whole thing feel bigger and borderless, because the web pages just tend to be white. Do look forward to the unboxing of that. I will be testing out the Force Touch home button. I will be trying out the Lightning EarPods. I will be trying out the adapter that comes with it to try adapting normal headphones to the phone. I'll be trying out all the features on the Apple Watch 2. I will be testing out GPS. When Pokemon Go, the app, comes out, wow, I can turn that into a full video because I am actually really excited about Pokemon Go. Believe it or not, the one person who I'm always on videos telling everyone that I don't really like Pokemon Go. But actually, I am really excited about the app, because being able to just look at my watch, get a few facts about the world around me, flick a Pokestop and then look away, that seems so much better than getting my phone out and have to do the, I don't know, it just felt like I was getting sucked into this world I don't want to be in on the phone. But with the watch, I felt like the whole glancing thing is going to work so much better for Pokemon Go. Nintendo apps coming out, Mario, so much exciting stuff. Woo! It's going to be a really exciting time this Christmas, because PS4 Pro is coming out, 4K gaming happening, there's VR game happening, TGS coming up next week. Of course, look forward to the Tokyo Game Show video, which I plan to make next week, where I will show you as much as I can about Tokyo Game Show. Also check it out on Let's Play Japan, where I will have even probably more in-depth videos showing Tokyo Game Show, I think I finally just realized how exciting all this stuff is. Even though, yeah, it kind of looks, iPhone 7 will look like the phone that you got last year. It is going to be epic with that optical image stabilization. I'm not going to get the iPhone 7 Plus because, meh, I don't want a big phone. I will try and do comments in my next video, or maybe I'll make a separate video for comments. If you're not subscribed already, do subscribe to the channel. That really helps me out. I really love to see that more people will get the notifications of new videos immediately. Like the video, comment like I mentioned before, and I will see you in the next NihongoGamer video. Hello and welcome to Ultimate Comparison iPad Pro. Today we're going to be looking at the iPad Pro 9.7-inch device and comparing it with the 12.9-inch device with a particular focus on drawing. So essentially, if you want to draw a full-body character on the iPad Pro 9.7 in landscape, it is possible. I just did find that I was zooming in a little bit more often. People weren't always staring over my shoulder like, oh, that guy's using an Apple Pencil on an iPad. I think really people just kind of left me to do my own thing. It's just the way with art, isn't it? When you're practicing and you're not 100% sure that it's something that you're going to publish, you don't really want people to stare at it until you've actually published it. We can't just have a device that draws, we gotta have a device that draws and also does our homework and also watches YouTube videos and also sends emails and all of those hundreds of other things.